Hey, Alan here. Thank you for joining me for another quick edit video. Today I'm going to take you through how I edited a photo from an implied nude shoot. If you'd like to edit this image along with me, hit the pause button now and head over to my Patreon page. The link's in the description below, and there you can find out about supporting me and downloading the raw file for this exact image. And if you'd like to watch me edit more images in Lightroom Classic, hit subscribe and ring the bell. We're still growing the channel, so it's still fairly new, so I'd appreciate your support. Come on, let's jump into Lightroom and get started.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Okay, this is the picture that we took on an implied nude shoot with the lovely Annie. And now we're going to see if we can turn it into a better picture. This was a reject. We didn't actually use this picture from the shoot, but I thought I could show you a few techniques and show you how I would normally go about editing a picture. So let's get started, shall we? As always, we scroll down to the lens corrections tab. We remove chromatic aberration and we enable profile correction. Then we're going to add a little bit of noise reduction. I'm going to add about 25 on this image, I think, something around that. You can always play around with this little box here, moving it around to see whether you need to add more. You can even drag or use this pin to see on different parts of the image. 24 is going to be fine for this one. Right, now what we'll do, head up to the top and we decide on our crop. Now this is, as I say, it's supposed to be an implied nude shoot, so we're going to imply the model's naked by taking that up to there. I want to move that back across there, and then we want to make sure the photo is level. So I'm going to click the auto button here.
This is not a drill.
And yeah, we will check it manually ourselves, and that looks fine. Right, so we hit the done key. And now, things we can do next. I always like to start with this box here, this group of 4 sliders here, highlight, shadows, whites and blacks. I'm going to bring the highlights down all the way, and I'm going to bring the shadows all the way up. And then I'm going to double click the whites and double click the blacks. I'm double clicking them while holding the shift key down, and that sets them to their auto points. You don't have to leave them there. In fact, I'm going to move a couple in a minute, but that gives you a good starting point. Right, I'm going to actually bring the exposure down a touch. There we go, like that. Okay. Now I'm going to, oh, if you wanted to, I'll show you whilst we're here. You can do skin softening in Lightroom. It is better to take a photo into Photoshop and do skin softening over there, and you'll find hundreds of tutorials on skin softening on YouTube, so you don't need me to explain the intricacies of Photoshop to you. But if you wanted to do it in Lightroom, Lightroom can do a little bit of it. If you come up to the adjustments brush here and select the presets, it's got 2 of them, Skin Soften Light and Skin Soften. And what it does is it basically just adds a little bit of sharpness and removes the clarity from the skin. And there we go, we could rub over where we want to go. We can even put the mask on by clicking that. And auto mask, which should stop us going over parts we don't want to go over. See, that's auto mask there, stopping me from highlighting the C. Might even do it around her head. No, it didn't really work with that bit very well. There we go, that's the auto mask, keeping me within her body and not on the bits I don't want to go over. And now, when we turn the mask off, you can see what effect that has had. There you go. So that would be skin soften. Click the done button and we're back to editing the main picture again. Right now, I'd increase saturation.
This is not a drill.
And increase the vibrance. Bring down the saturation again. Now I want to do something about the sky. I want a different color in the sky. You can change the colors just by warming up or cooling down the image here. In fact, let's reset those back to how they should be, and then you can change the temperature of the image and the tint of the image. There we go, nice little bit of a pink there, but you can also use split tones. You could use different split tones, playing around with the colors until you find something you like. You can adjust the amounts here using the saturation. So that would be none of that shadow color, whereas that would be totally blue. And like I say, you can play around to your heart's content really, until you find something that you're happy with. If you decide you don't want the split tone on in the end, just turn it off right there. What I'm going to actually do on this image, I think, I haven't tried it yet, is maybe a graduated filter. This one here. Now I want it to come down in a straight line, so before I click, I'm going to hold the shift key down again, and then click and drag down. Okay, and I'm going to drag it down to about a shoulder level and let go. Right, now we can play with this. At the moment it's basically skin softened that whole area where the graduated filter is, because I left it on skin softened. But that doesn't really matter, we can reset it all here. Take the clarity back, and take the sharpness back, nothing else has been changed. So now we can play around. We can drag sliders around, changing different effects. And if you don't like it, Control Z undoes. What I want to do is I want to increase the saturation, and then I want to add a nice tint to the sky. There we go. I don't want it to look too fake or horrible, but as you know, at sunset you can get some lovely colours creeping in, and that's what I'm going for here. Once I've got what I want, I'm going to take the texture all the way down and the clarity all the way down, and see whether it affects the model's hair. Now if it affects, it hasn't really affected hair much at all, but if it did, you can see it's taking the clarity down on the rock, which doesn't matter. But if it did, you can click brush here. Remember, we're still editing this effect, so we're still editing this graduated filter. Click brush and you get a paintbrush. Now hold down the Alt key and it becomes a rubber, and you can literally rub out the effect of this graduated filter. I'd suggest before you do that, you click on show the masks. So there's the mask there. So now hold down the Alt key and you're rubbing it out. So you can see it disappearing off of there. There isn't much effect as it's down quite low on her here, but I don't want to fringe around the edges, so I'm going to keep it quite small and just take it off the bits that matter. There we go. And we'll remove the mask overlay. There. I think that's all we want in that tool now. So now we click done and we're back to the main image again. Now I'm going to apply a bit of contrast. You can do that two ways. You can do it using the contrast slider here, or you can do it using the tone curve adjustments with these two presets down here, medium or strong. I'm just going to go for medium contrast. We haven't got the split tone on, so I don't need to worry about that. You can see it does make a little bit of a difference if we turn it on, but I prefer it to be a light tone in the sky. And then the last but not least, I would maybe add a little bit of vignette around the edges just to draw your eyes into the middle of the picture. And there we go, that's how I'd leave that image. And that's how I would edit an implied nude picture from an implied nude photo shoot. If you'd like to see me edit more pictures, hit subscribe and ring the bell. If you'd like to have access to my raw files, you can visit my Patreon page and find out all the details there. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.
This is not a drill.
Repeat, this is not a drill.
Is that all you got?
Let's begin now.